suffocates, whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood, blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall, one wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Hello, everyone. Give me a wave if you can hear me. Yay! Okay, great. So, welcome in, everyone. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates. It's great to be here with you again. I'm going to try to get this stupid thing off the stage. There we go. That's better. I am coming to you from snowy Pennsylvania. So we have about at least probably 10 inches on the ground here, and it's still snowing, not supposed to stop for at least a couple more hours. So who knows where we'll end up. So, but anyhow, I hope wherever you are, you're safe and warm and happy and healthy and all that good stuff. So welcome on in. Let's see here. We have Lady G in the house tonight. We got Becca 1019. Welcome to you. And Michelle Rowe, nice to see you again as always. We have Hope Norris. Good to see you, of course. And our amazing mods, we have the amazing Amanda B, the wonderful Essie Michael, and the fantastic Pennywise. We have almost a full panel tonight for you. The boss man, Lee, he is off on Sundays. And tonight, especially, he's watching his Seattle Seahawks, man. They were up at halftime, so I crossing my fingers for his team. Sorry if you're not a fan of the, but my Steelers were out, so cheer on his team. That's. So hope all you guys are having a good time tonight. And again, we're covering the Kurt Cobain case tonight. We're going to be covering that for at least a couple more weeks. There's a lot to this case. It is a fascinating case. So grateful that y'all are interested and tuning in for that. And if you're not familiar with it, hang out, because there's a lot to this case, and it really does tie in a lot with our channel's mission, kind of suspicious investigations, or not very good investigations, corruption, all that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up first here. We're going to bring up Dago. One moment here. There we go. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. Forget about it. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm staying warm and all that good stuff. So
Yes,
I
please
know you're
do.
excited for the case tonight.
Absolutely. Always happy to be here, and especially to put some more information out on this case. Welcome to all of the True Crime Cafe peeps. Good to see you guys and all the denizens. Great to see you guys tonight. Thank you to the Blue Crew for showing up and the amazing Amanda B. Um, also, Essie and
Penny.
Pennywise. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We appreciate all you amazing moderators for doing what you guys do. And thank you to the communities for showing up. You guys are amazing. We love you all so very much.
Yep, our love our friends over there on your side. It's so weird saying your side. We love the Blue Crew. We love all the meatballs in the sauce, and so yep, we very just yeah, it's all good. So all
Yeah.
right, let me bring up. We have next JJ from State of the Deep. Hello, how are you tonight, sir?
What's up, everybody? What's up, Robin? What's up, Dago?
What's up,
What's up?
brother?
What's up, 1-1? Denizens, meatballs, mods. How you guys doing tonight?
All right,
Wonderful.
and last but not least, we're gonna bring up your favorite vampire and mine.
There goes the
That's
neighborhood.
how he's affectionately known. England, King of the Cliff.
Evening.
How are you tonight?
Evening. Hello, everyone.
What's up, buddy?
Well, I just spent 2 hours shoveling snow. I'm fired up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Ready
listening.
to go. Got the blood pumping. All right.
Yeah. And guess what I listened to?
Can't even tell. Can't even tell.
MTV Unplugged Nirvana. I love that album. It's like one of my favorites.
All
It
right.
is a good one. That was a
Nice.
good. They did a great show for that.
You know, it was a great album.
Cool.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah. So hello to everyone, meatballs, denizens, of course, JJ, Dago, the wonderful Robin. Yes, we got a great show for you tonight. Put some info out there, and we will get going. So,
All right.
is it good to be alive in the den on a
Always.
Sunday night?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Always.
It happened quietly.
Jen's
Too
got it.
quiet.
No, go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Too quietly for something that loud to end. A man worth millions, a voice that defined a generation, a body found alone in a locked room, and a story wrapped up almost as fast as it began. They told us it was a suicide. They told us not to look too closely. They told us grief explains everything. But death doesn't rush, only narratives do. Tonight, we're talking about Kurt Cobain. Not the legend, not the martyr, not the romantic tragedy sold to us for decades. We're talking about the last days, the final hours, the details that don't fade with time. They sharpen. The unanswered phone calls, the handwriting that doesn't quite match, the toxicology that raises eyebrows instead of closure, the timeline that asks you to suspend disbelief or stop asking questions altogether. They say he wanted to die, but people who want to die don't make future plans. They don't talk about getting clean. They don't fight for custody, and they don't leave behind mysteries this loud. Some deaths feel final. This one feels interrupted. Because when the most famous voice of pain in the world goes silent, you have to ask, was it despair? Was it pressure? Was it control? Or was it something far more uncomfortable? This is the part where most podcasts soften the edges. We don't. We sit with the evidence. We sit with the contradictions. We sit with the possibility that the truth didn't die in that room. It was buried with it. Tonight isn't about blame, it's about scrutiny. It's about whether the official story holds up when the lights are low and the excuses run out. So don't listen casually, don't half hear this, because once you look at this case in the dark, it never looks the same again. This is Devil's Advocates, and tonight we ask whether Kurt Cobain's death was the end of his life or the beginning of a lie. And with that, live from New York, it's Sunday night.
That was a good one. I like that
Well
one.
done. Love it. Love it. That was excellent. Thank you.
Makes
So,
sense. It makes much sense. I've been titling
Yeah.
our little series here "Soaked in Lies," so there you go.
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much what it is too. So, all right. So 1-1, if you want to kick it
Yeah,
off here,
so what
you
we
can
w-
explain where we're starting and that kind of thing.
Sure. So we've covered a bunch of kind of I guess thinking exercises and outside the box kind of ideas a bit with this case. It doesn't matter whether you think, oh, this is a crazy idea. This is not, you have to be at least willing to listen, and it's not about whether you necessarily believe one idea or not. Just be open to the dialogue that anything is possible, and it is. You look at what's going on with Idaho 4. So so what we want to do, we felt, so there's a few things. We felt that to make it a little more I guess follow a thread and make it a little easier to understand, instead of, so there's a million things with this case, just like the Idaho 4, and we are going to get to many of those things, like the suicide note, and there's a lot of different people that are going to come into play, contradictions. We felt that it would be best to follow kind of more so a timeline. Let's go back to kind of the beginning instead of jumping around all over the place. And then it kind of, people may get a little, like they'll have the idea of kind of what happened, but it's, I think, better to follow the timeline. It gives you more of a background.
Yeah. Be a
and
little
sometimes the timeline in itself, as accurate as we can get it, will tell a story even in itself just from that.
Well,
because
Absolutely.
we've laid the groundwork for the whole story, you guys, basis of it, and now like we're kind of gonna go in, like he said, from the beginning with the timeline, basing it and detailing you guys for each section.
Right. So there's a bunch of people who are involved in this case. So I'm gonna probably start us off a bit talking about his trip to Rome that he took. But before I get into specifically talking about Rome, there's a few people who I'm gonna mention who come up that kind of play a sort of a part with this Rome trip, and then from him leaving and going to Seattle. So one of the people that I was going to mention is one of the band members from Nirvana, which is Novoselic. So just to give kind of a little brief thing about him. Because I think it's important. Like we're gonna say like different names, and if you don't know who we're talking about, like it could get. I mean, I could just say band member, and you're like, okay, he was part of the band, you know. But just to give a little more like substance of who we're talking about here. So, um, he was born May 16th, 1965. So it's Chris Anthony Novoselic is an American musician, politician, and activist. He co-founded and played bass on every album for the rock band Nirvana. Novoselic and Kurt Cobain formed the band Nirvana in 1987, soon recruiting drummer Aaron Burkhardt, which we may further talk about, who was the drummer of the group until October 1987. Through the late 1980s, Nirvana, this is a little background, Nirvana established themselves as part of the Seattle grunge scene, releasing 3 albums between 1989 and 1993. Nirvana abruptly ended in 1994 following the death of Kurt Cobain. Novoselic has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Nirvana and has also received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award as a member of the band. After Nirvana disbanded, Novoselic formed Sweet 75 in 1995 and Eyes Adrift in 2002, releasing 1 album with each band. From 2006 to 2009, he played in the punk rock band Flipper. 2011, he contributed bass and accordion to the song I Should Have Known on the Foo Fighters studio album Wasting Light. From 2017 to 2020, he played bass and accordion for the band Giants in the Trees. Outside of music, he's active politically from 2007 to 2010. He wrote a weekly column on music and politics for the Seattle Weekly website. He also served on the board of the electoral reform organization Fair Vote and has served as its chair. And it's like some other stuff that he did that, you know, just to give you a little background on him. His early life, like I said, so he's born in Compton, California, May 16th, 1965. He's the son of Croatian immigrants, Kristo Novoselic and Marija Mustak. I probably butchered that, but Kristo was a native of Veli Iz on the island of Iz, while Marija originates from Privlaka. The original Croatian surname of Novoselic was mistakenly changed to Novoselic by a clerk when Kristo was applying for a passport to go to America. Novoselic lived in Compton for 1 year before his parents moved to the ethnically Croatian Los Angeles neighborhood of San Pedro. His first language is Croatian. He has a younger brother and younger sister. 1979, his family relocated to Aberdeen, Washington. 1980, his parents sent him to live with relatives in Zadir, Croatia, Yugoslavia. He returned to Aberdeen in 1981. His earliest memory of listening to music is listening to Chuck Berry with his father. Growing up, he had a severe underbite for which he underwent corrective surgery. Now a little more into what influenced him. Novoselic was interested in bands such as Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, The Who, Van Halen, Devo, and Aerosmith. He also enjoyed listening to Yugoslavian bands such as, I can't forget it, Severhano, whatever. I can't even say this. Forget it. I give up. He became interested in punk rock and discovered bands such as the Sex Pistols and Ramones when he lived in the Socialist Republic of Croatia, Yugoslavia, at the age of 14 for 1 year. He has cited Paul McCartney, Geezer Butler, John Entwistle, and Gene Simmons as fundamental influences on his bass playing. Novoselic's brother, Robert, is the one who introduced him to his friend Kurt Cobain, who had noticed loud music coming from upstairs in the Novoselic household. Robert told Cobain that it was his older brother who listened to punk rock. Cobain eventually befriended the older Novoselic, as the pair had similar musical tastes, including a fondness for the local band Melvins. The two had several mutual friends and began hanging out shortly thereafter. Chris attended Aberdeen High School, while Kurt attended high school in nearby Montesano. At one point, Cobain gave Novoselic a demo tape of his former band Fecal Matter and asked him to form a band together. After several months, Novoselic finally listened to the tape, liked it, and agreed to start the band with Cobain. After high school, Novoselic worked as a painter and decorator, but was eventually laid off. So then now they formed the band. Cobain and Novoselic's first band lasted barely a few weeks before it disbanded, leaving the pair to move on. However, the duo eventually discovered that the Melvins could pull $80 a night for one show. Inspired, Cobain and Novoselic started a Creedence Clearwater Revival cover band, in which Cobain played drums and Novoselic sang and played guitar. That's interesting, right? That band was short-lived as well. Some months later, Cobain and Novoselic met drummer Aaron Burkhardt. While the new band never used the name, it was the first incarnation of Nirvana. Burkhardt lasted only a few months, and Melvin's drummer Dale Crover filled in until Novoselic and Cobain met Chad Channing. The trio recorded their debut album, Bleach, released in 1989. Channing left the band in 1990 and was briefly replaced by Crover and Mudhoney drummer Dan Peters. Novoselic contributed to the writing of various songs and providing ideas for Cobain. Later in 1990, Melvin singer-guitarist Buzz Osborne encouraged Novoselic and Cobain to check out a punk band called Scream. The pair were impressed by their drummer, David Grohl. A few weeks later, Scream disbanded, and Grohl placed a call to Osborne for advice. Osborne gave him Novoselic's phone number, and Novoselic invited Grohl up to Seattle from San Francisco, where Scream broke up. Grohl passed the audition and joined Nirvana. Grohl was Nirvana's fifth and final drummer. Novoselic spent the following months with Nirvana, traveling to various labels as the band shopped for a deal, eventually signing with DGC Records. And then from there, you know what happened. And they made Nevermind and Smells Like Teen Spirit out the charts. So there's just a little background on him. He's a band member. He's an important important in the story. So and I gave, and it's good to have some background info too on
Oh yeah,
band,
absolutely.
so so there was some extra stuff obviously in there, but it's always good to hear. So so now we're gonna kind of go talking about what happened here with this Rome trip.
It's very implemental in this this entire story, in my opinion.
So
yeah, absolutely.
You want to pull up that I guess the first picture. I think it's the first picture I sent you, Robin. Take a look at that paragraph.
From the small paragraph, or the other one?
Yeah. There's one that's like a little longer.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, can't see it. I think it's the one that looks
Is it
like
the one that you
blue.
highlighted? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me add that.
Yeah, I think this is it. Right.
Yeah, and understand that this, what he's about to go into, you guys, this was a lot like the Idaho 4 story, a very narrative driven story by Miss Courtney Love. So believe and understand this story has its roots, and they're deep because of her.
Right.
Yep.
So
plus when I have some stuff to add into the mix of this whenever you go through your stuff after you get to a
sure. I got a bunch, so
right.
I'll do some stuff, and then whenever you guys wanna chime in. So we're talking about we're gonna talk about the Rome incident, and we're gonna talk about how there's stuff that came up with guns with this, and the big question: was he trying to commit suicide or not? Like what was going on? What was all this? What is all this about? So
bingo.
Before we get to this Rome trip, all right. So there were domestic disputes within the Cobain home the very month prior to Kurt Cobain's death. I'm not sure if people are even aware of that. And we're also, you mentioned this is also ongoing. JJ kind of threw it out there. He's mentioned a few times. This is also in the background going on. The female admirer of Kurt's that I'm pretty sure Courtney was aware of, and she felt extremely threatened by, and that she was so jealous to the point that she punched her in the face. So that did happen. And this is also the female admirer who, mysteriously, died 2 months after Kurt Cobain. So
Yeah,
it's a very interesting thing.
Very mysteriously.
Right. So it wasn't, however, until 8 days after Cobain returned to Seattle from Rome to recuperate from a failed suicide attempt in March. So it's kind of like what we're talking about here, that people close to him realized it was time to resort to drastic measures. Paragraph 5, Rolling Stone of June 1994. It basically, Courtney Love is the only person that was basically putting out there that he was saying that he wanted to commit suicide. It was like, there was no one else, no friends, no, his lawyer that family. It was only her, only her. In fact, even I didn't have a thing on him, but a little thing on, so David Grohl, the drummer, he himself says in a documentary of Foo Fighters Back and Forth, when he came home, I remember talking to him on the phone saying, hey man, he was very apologetic. No, I took his pills, I was drinking his champagne, and I was in Rome. It was just made a mistake. So Nirvana was on a European tour, and Hole, that is Courtney. So Courtney Love, that's her group, Hole. She was out touring wherever they were. Kurt and Courtney had been separated already for some time, and Nirvana comes to a break. It was kind of like a 2-week break in their tour, and he decides to fly to Rome. And now, at this point, when he went there, okay, he was diagnosed with the flu, and he had bronchitis. So he had just gone to a Reading festival where he performed, and the reason he wanted to go to Rome. So this is a key thing too for you guys to understand. Like, what was the big deal about Rome? Well, the reason he wanted to go to Rome and meet up with his wife was not because he wanted to spend quality time with her. You have to remember that he had a baby with her. So regardless of whether he wanted to be with her or not, he still has to talk to her, right? So there was lots of ongoing arguments. At this point, he already, Courtney knew he was already he was on the out. He wanted to leave her. The lawyer pretty much knew. So this wasn't like a hidden thing going on. So he actually wanted to talk to her about their inevitable divorce, and even called their attorney, Rosemary Carroll. We'll get into her a bit. I don't know, Robin. I don't know. Did you pull anything on Rosemary or no? We could talk about her a little bit.
I have some stuff, but I didn't pull any of that for tonight.
Okay. I mean, we can mention it. Yeah. So Rosemary was their lawyer.
Just can I just jump in real quick about
go ahead,
Rosemary Carroll?
Yeah.
I didn't know this all along, but her husband was Jim Carroll. That's the guy the Basketball Diaries was made about.
Oh yeah.
The movie, The Basketball Diaries. That's Jim Carroll. That's his wife.
Nice.
Yeah, there were some other people too instrumental. Real quick, if you guys are not familiar, I'm not going to delve into them deeply. Just,
Yeah, go ahead.
If anybody's familiar with, there's another group out there back then by the name of the Meat Puppets. Joe, you probably know who they are.
Oh yeah.
One you might, but
oh yeah, they played a bunch of their songs from in the MTV Unplugged. Yeah,
Kurt and Chris Kirkwood were real close with him, and they had a lot of Kurt reached out to them the week before he died, right after the Rome thing. One's going to go through the one or the Rome thing and all that, but I wanted to throw those names out there for anybody that didn't know that the Meat Puppets, Chris and Kurt, the Kirkwoods, the guys that put that band together, were close to Kurt, and Kurt had reached out to them pre this situation. I don't know if you knew that either, JJ, or not, but and that's kind of important and instrumental in my opinion, as we'll get into later on. But I just want their names out there so you guys remember that. Sorry, 1-1. Go ahead, bud.
That's okay. So he wanted to talk to her. He was going to talk to her about more with the divorce and on this trip. He even called their attorney, Rosemary Carroll, and told her to take Courtney out of his will. Within now, this is like, you can't make this shit up. Right. Within hours of him meeting Courtney Love in Rome, and told her, meeting her in Rome, bandmate Pat Smear and friend say that he was very upset, he was angry, and he's telling Courtney he doesn't want to be with her. She's fighting with him, threatening to never let him see their daughter ever again, and all of a sudden he ends up in a 20-hour coma. I mean, you know, if it's quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, it's a duck. Right?
It is, and if I can jump in real fast to add into what you just said. So Courtney told the media and their close friends, okay, it was a suicide attempt, okay, that this is what it was. She had flown there just to see him, okay, and found out and when this happened, this is her story. He found out at that point, this is what one was talking about, that she had was cheating on him, and didn't want to be there anyway, and that he didn't want to do the tour. He wanted to be home in Washington doing dope with Mark Lanigan and Dylan, his best friend.
Right.
So that's what he did, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Tour canceled. He went back to Washington. But here's the deal. This is, again, her story. She took off. When he went to Rome, she went to London to meet up with Billy Corgan, who was the lead singer for Smashing Pumpkins, okay? And
small world, right?
Right. Yeah, right. And so on and so forth. And she goes back to meet him. I think it was like Kurt took somewhere, but the story is 30 to 50 Rohypnol, like Joe was saying, drinking champagne, something like that. And Courtney woke up to him completely unresponsive, called emergency services. And of course, she's trying to play the hero here. He was rushed to the hospital where they worked for 5 hours to save his life, leaving him in a coma for 1 day. Whether he had brain damage is speculation at best, but that was this is a story that came from Chris I never say his name right. Novelisek, sorry. And my understanding is that Chris got most of that story from Courtney. I don't trust anything Courtney says.
Right.
Okay? So in turn, she's playing the hero. I saved his life. I did it, guys. I did it, and he was trying to kill himself, so on and so forth. Again, to put herself in the hero shoes. So I don't know exactly what happened. Her story is the story that was put out mostly. And again, her story that Novelisek spoke on was from her. That's where this all comes from. So we can't, I don't know if you guys could, but I couldn't get around her story to find a real story, because I just feel like for some reason her story is not the truth.
Right. But again, so you got to look at the stuff that just this, again, it's speculation. We don't know 100%. Remember, he was just coming off tour. So they're on a break.
Right.
He's on tour. He's got the flu. He's got bronchitis. He's emotionally drained from fighting with Courtney. You can think he's not necessarily that he's wants to commit suicide, but he's probably also very tired. And you could see, someone saying, why don't you let me just get a drink here? You could see him taking some sleeping pills, or whatnot, and maybe it's possible, that sleeping more with, the roofies that he took,
Right.
maybe more were put into his drink, or maybe someone put more in than he knew,
Mhm.
but it's believable just because remember he is addicted to, he's taking drugs and stuff. Didn't want to commit suicide. He just wanted to drain all the stuff out. He had a lot going on. There's a lot going on at this moment.
He wanted to be numb. Right.
Right. That's a great word, numb. It's possible Kurt knew he was taking, what he was taking, but maybe like I said, more was put in, and he realized he's now his brain's a mess. He had the flu, and you have the flu, you get a fever. It's like sometimes you feel like you have a delirium. You're in like a state of delirium sometimes.
And I've always wondered if somehow that overdose had something to do with her as well. I'll just be honest with you. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
before you, and just before 1-1, you move, because I know you
Go
guys,
ahead.
you want to frame it like in a timeline sort of way.
Yeah.
I think, and we'll obviously get to this more later, but I think the Kristen Pfaff dynamic in this is really important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For you guys, I'm sure most people probably know this, but Kristen Pfaff became the bass player for Hole, for Courtney's band, and she was a badass. Like straight up, by everybody's account, she transformed the band.
And she was the band, yes.
Yeah, she was like straight up a badass. And she was also attractive and very unique, very extremely intelligent. And so whether or not anybody can confirm that there was ever anything between Kurt and Kristen, that's a whole separate thing. But the fact is that Courtney was jealous of Kristen Pfaff because she was getting a lot of attention. And so, the whole Kristen Pfaff thing will tie in later. I just wanted to sort of add that in there because there was a lot of talk about Kristen and Kurt and having a friendship, but that Kurt had said he thought she was beautiful and all these things. So that I believe we'll connect the dots with that later on, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, because that's a whole other thing, and there were a lot of reasons that Courtney would have.
Courtney hated her. Courtney hated her.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. So he may have, so now he may have thought, well, these roofies kicked his butt, and in actuality, someone could have slipped him more than he was able to handle. It's possible. So the March 3rd, 1994 Rome incident, which only Courtney Love referred to as a failed suicide attempt, leads to another fight. They have another argument about this, where Kurt is telling her he doesn't want to be with her no matter what she does. I still don't want to be with you. I want a divorce. Again, it leads to a further fight, a domestic dispute back in Seattle on March 18th, 1994. And this is a key part in the story too. So on March 18th, a domestic dispute escalated into a near disaster after police officers arrived at the scene, summoned by Courtney Love, and she told them that her husband had locked himself in a room with a .38 caliber revolver and said he was going to kill himself. This is what she claims. With the revolver that he had with him in the room. And then Ollie says later that night, Cobain had told him that he hadn't actually been planning to take his own life. Like, what do? They confiscate the gun, leave, and then come back to kick with Kurt later, and that's when he told them. It doesn't make any sense. Like that.
No.
So
Again, understand, folks. Kurt had a lot of guns too. It wasn't like
Yeah.
he had a lot of them, like he collected them. Okay, so for him to have guns with him around him was normal. It was no big deal.
So this is
Right.
so Tom Grant, who we kind of he is the investigator that Courtney hired to find Kurt when he supposedly was missing. Tom Grant got his hand on the actual police report from March 18th.
Right.
So here's what actually happened. Courtney and Kurt both needed to go to rehab. They were both on heroin, really bad. And so not only were they arguing about this, Courtney being a hypocrite, saying you're a horrible father, you need to go to rehab, when herself is strung out. But Kurt was also pushing. Yes, I want to go to rehab. Yes, I want to get my life together. But no, I don't want my life to be with you. However, I still want to be part of my daughter's life. When the police arrived, they did not find Kurt in a room with a gun. They found him locked in a broom closet with no gun. There was a .38 revolver in the home, along with 3 other guns that were confiscated. But the gun was not on Kurt. And Tom Grant has talked extensively about this event and stressed that Kurt did not have the gun on him. So, and this is what they did. This is very similar to what they do here in New York as well. It could be a little, I'm sure, probably almost national at this point.
Yeah.
They only took the guns because it's police protocol. Whenever they go out to a domestic violence dispute, if there are any weapons in the home, they're told to take them and confiscate them for a certain period of time, almost like a probationary period. Kurt actually told the police that he locked himself in the closet to get away from Courtney. And I believe this makes sense, that she had been violent in the past. She had smacked him and she had punched him. And he knew that when she got to this amount of anger that she was in, she would be extremely violent toward him. Kurt, this is very key. Kurt was not the type of man to hit a woman, even if the woman hit him. So he did the smart thing. He removed himself from the situation. He knew if he kept arguing with her that she was going to attack. She was going to attack him. This puts him in a situation where he has to restrain her or be physically violent back in self-defense. And he didn't want to do that. So he locked himself away where she couldn't reach him. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me. So, I actually thought you could put up that second, the small, yeah.
Okay.
I forgot to tell you. Yeah, I should have told you before. It's my fault. But this is what we're talking. So this was another, like, was put out in the news. So, I pretty much, I said what was in it. So, but that entire paragraph is completely wrong. It makes Kurt look like a nutball who was waving a gun around in front of his wife and child, which is exactly what Courtney Love wanted us to believe. When in fact, she was the aggressive nutball and he just didn't want her to attack him.
Yeah.
So from that, moving along, now you have this. They're still arguing. On March 25th, roughly 10 friends, including bandmates Chris Novoselic and Pat Smear, Nirvana manager John Silva, Billig and Janet Billig, who is the manager of Hole. So she's there for Courtney, basically. Longtime friend Dylan Carlson, Love, and Goldberg. Danny Goldberg, who owned Goldberg Mountain or Gold Mountain. John Silver was his partner, and they managed Nirvana. Gathered at Cobain's home on Seattle Lake, Washington Boulevard to take a different approach with new intervention counselors. Novoselic is said to have staged his own separate confrontation with Cobain as well. So as part of the intervention, Love threatened to leave Cobain, and Smear and Novoselic said they would break up the band if Cobain didn't check into rehab. After a tense 5-hour session and 2-day process, Cobain retired to the basement with Smear, where they rehearsed some new material. Kurt again says that I don't want to leave with Courtney. Courtney urges him to go check into rehab with her. She wants it to be this big media spectacle where the rock star and the rock star's wife go and check into rehab together. And Kurt said he still wants a divorce. I still don't want to be with you. I'm not going anywhere with you. Love ends up leaving with Janet Billig and goes to Peninsula Hotel, which is an outpatient detox, not a rehab. And then Kurt stays in Seattle. Now there's a couple of things that are wrong here. Number one, apparently the info is that Chris Novoselic was not even at this intervention, but some people are saying he was there. But it seems like Novoselic had his own kind of intervention with Kurt later on. But before this intervention, Chris approached Cobain as a friend and said, "Let's go on vacation together, just you and I as friends. Let's forget about this band. Let's forget about the fame. Let's forget about the money. Just you and I go hang out like old times, like friends. Let's talk this out." But because of Courtney interfering in that conversation, guess what happened? You could take a guess. Kurt ended up turning him down. And at that point, Chris went home to oversee home repairs. The other thing that's wrong with this is Smear and Novoselic did not threaten to break up the band. They were just saying that they wanted to take a break until Kurt got his drug addiction under control. And Courtney Love was not threatening to leave him. So he already wanted to leave her.
Yeah, we couldn't have that.
Right. She was threatening. She was threatening to prevent him from being able to see Frances. That's their daughter, and that's ultimately why he did go to rehab.
Yeah, and one of the big things that Courtney was doing to him is she was playing both sides of the fence. You guys understand this?
Yes.
She was telling him, "You need to get clean. We need to get clean for our daughter," and at the same time feeding him as well as herself more heroin day after day. At the same time, going back saying we need to go to rehab. Then the next day saying, "Here's some more. Let's do more. Let's stay high. Let's do this." She needed him to stay high because that way she could control him that way. Because otherwise, he was coming to his senses regularly and saying, "You're whack. I need to get the fuck away from you." Period.
Right.
And that's exactly what was going on. And every time he would come out of his stupor, per se, he would realize again what she's doing to some extent, and she would feed him some more, talk him into more because she was very manipulative. And this went on and on and on. She did this with other people too, just so you guys know. We'll get to that. I just want to throw that.
Yeah. So now she threatens him a bit. Courtney said, "If you don't go to rehab and get your act together, you're not going to see your daughter anymore." So, and that was the thing that he loved more than anything in the world. That's why he went to Exodus, not because Love threatened to leave him. This was all about his daughter. So that is complete nonsense. It's well recorded and documented that he already asked her for a divorce. So how can you leave somebody who already claimed they want to leave you? And clearly he would do whatever she asked. He would leave with her. "Yeah, let's go check into rehab together. I love you. I still want to be with you." Like, she left without him because he didn't want to leave with her. I cannot stress that enough. So I hope you understand the contradiction in that. It's like, it's saying that Love, threatened to leave him, like divorce him, but he wouldn't leave with her to go to rehab. clearly, if he still wanted to be married to her, just think about it logically. If he wanted to be married to her, he would have gave in and said, "Yes, I'll go with you." Of course.
Yeah. Yep.
She played head games with him a lot.
Yeah.
With the drugs. She held Francis Bean over his head daily.
Right.
Okay. And that's all he cared about. He didn't give two shits about Courtney. He wanted his life with his daughter. He wanted to be clean.
Right.
He wanted to be, he wanted, and we've talked about this early on. Kurt wanted to retire as a songwriter, folk singer per se, and just live his life with his child and be happy. That's all he wanted. Okay.
Right.
She was not having that, no matter what it was.
No.
She was never, her story was that she was threatening to divorce him. So no, not at all. It was all him trying to get away from her, and she had to put that out there to make it look as though he had control. So
right.
And the old saying, it's true. I think we'd all agree. If you look at someone's past, Courtney, by every account, had a volatile side to her, and she was manipulative.
Very bad.
What do you think? Kurt is this guy who's, by every account, very sensitive guy, and sometimes sensitive people are susceptible to get sucked in by people that are manipulative. And so it's just, look at just the history of somebody, right? If you want to know about crazy situations that somebody's connected to, if they have like a calm and peaceful past and no drama in their past, and it's not hard to connect the present to the past, because that's humans. That's what there's the famous Freud saying that the child is father to the man. So who you are in your past shapes who you are in the present. And guys, we all know about Courtney's volatile past.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And when you have someone like Kurt, like you're saying, Joe, he is very sensitive, combined with being, addicted to the drugs, married to this manipulative person. I mean, it made him even more susceptible to her, machinations than, and she knew that without, him being high, her control was just slipping.
She had none. Right. Because Kurt was so smart, when he wasn't high, he could see, the light for what it was. And as soon as she would realize, oh, wait a minute, he's starting to think again. We can't have that here. Have some more. Come on, Kurt, I love you. And manipulate him again into this whole thing. And if you ever want to see your brother again, or your brother, I just looked at what Mike said. Your daughter again, you'll do this and this, do that, and but she puts herself out there to the public like the hero, as she always did. So, very sad, very sad.
Yep.
So she says, "Please don't leave me," but actually, Kurt wanted to leave her, which is why he didn't go to check into rehab with her, and he stayed there while she went to LA and did a bunch of drugs in the Peninsula Hotel. It says Love would say that she regretted leaving Cobain alone, but that 80s love, that 80s tough love BS doesn't work. She said in a taped message during a vigil 2 weeks later, "You can't leave somebody who already wants to leave you." So she's playing the media. She was playing us. She was playing the fans, pretending like she still had some kind of power over Kurt when she actually didn't have any power over him whatsoever, because all he wanted was his daughter, not her. Very clear. And ultimately, that's probably what drove her to very drastic measures. But we'll get into some of that further on. So that's really most of what happened from the Rome trip, and then after that. So
I did.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I did want to throw something else in about the Rome trip. When I said to you guys, I feel like there was at some point Courtney had something to do with that overdose at that point as well. The story is, okay, that they had, again, like Nolan said, when she showed up in Rome, they had this really heated argument because Kurt had found out that she truly went to London. She tried to tell him it was for some kind of a something with her music, and he knows a lot of people. People make phone calls. Hey, bro, your wife is here actually hooking up with Billy Corgan, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Honest and truly, in my opinion, he probably didn't care, but it makes him look bad personally. They had a fight about it. Okay, you really went there, you lied. One more thing she did wrong. So they start shooting up, doing heroin, doing this supposedly. And then this is supposedly when the Rohypnol comes into play in the champagne. And it states that Courtney passed out because of their fighting, she did a whole bunch of something, okay? When she woke up, Kurt was basically, in essence, dead. Now, this is what bothers me. This is all by her account. Period. There's nobody else that can tell this story but Courtney. She passes out, wakes up to Kurt like this, calls 911 or whatever it was in Italy, and becomes the hero and saves his life. I don't believe this. I'm sorry. I just don't believe this.
Right.
I have a feeling that she loaded the champagne down with Rohypnol or whatever it was, they were drinking this, trying to get over the fight that they had, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Then she sets the stage for the suicide attempt and turns him. I mean, that was opening the door to the narrative to the end of his life, in my opinion.
Yep.
This is my opinion, you guys, because we don't know any other way. Kurt can't tell us, and she can't. She won't tell us. So this is my opinion, but that is the story. She passes out, wakes up, so on and so forth. We don't know that she passed out. There's the problem. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So sorry to interrupt again. I just wanted to throw that.
No, you're not. That's fine. It's fine.
And also, it's like maybe she thought that would kill him if she did that, and she thought 50 or 30 to 50 Rohypnol are going to kill him, but she had to allegedly, theoretically, she had to make it look like she was trying to save his life, right? Because it's going to come more into question if she doesn't.
You're right. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, this could be
agree.
This could be a failed. Her first failed attempt.
The first attempt failed. Second one, they made it. That's exactly what I think too, JJ.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now, so from here, now he goes. Kurt goes into the rehab, and he's he spends the night from March 30th, 1994 to April 1st, and this is Good Friday. This wasn't like this rehab that he went to. He wasn't like locked down. Like it was, it's a voluntary thing. So you're free to leave, if you want, so it's key to know that. So it's Easter weekend. He has a great visit with his daughter, and it's probably believable that he followed her to LA. It's the only reason he even chose to go to Exodus. His divorce was inevitable, and so he's fighting this addiction that he has to feed. So he's got two things going on. He feeds the addiction, and then he comes back to his daughter. Then he goes and he feeds his addiction. It's like going back. He's like playing two ends of this, spectrum here. He comes back to his daughter, and it seemed to be the last couple of months of his life was him trying to balance his love for his daughter and this demon of an addiction that he's fighting with. Again, we mentioned Rolling Stone, according to one of Cobain's visitors at the clinic. In Rolling Stone, so according to one of his visitors, he was ready to see him look like crap and depressed, but he looked so effing great, and he walked out an hour later. So I mean, does it sound like someone that's? It just, you start to see all these pieces. He's trying to fight the addiction, and yes, it's not exactly the most fun thing, going through a divorce and all that stuff. But does this look like someone that would sound like someone that wants to kill himself? Like
No.
he has a love for his daughter. He wants to see his daughter. This is like, it's the complete opposite. He's trying to get his life together. He's trying to do everything. He wants to make right decisions. All the signs that I see, does not seem to fit, that someone all of a sudden would go, I know Courtney, I know she was threatening him, like, oh, you're not, to take the daughter away, but so
Yeah. And I can see, I mean, in my opinion, I could very well see, had he been able to, this not happen and been able to clean up, he would have challenged, I'll bet you anything, challenged for custody of Frances Bean. I'll bet you he would have.
I believe he would have got it because of her.
Oh yeah,
her history, her past, and her her current state of mind and stuff like that. Would have had no problem getting it. I think she may have known that too.
Oh yeah,
Right.
very, very well. And the way that she treated Frances, that poor kid, I don't know how she's turned out to be so well adjusted after some of the shit.
Frances,
and she's married to Tony Hawk's son.
Yeah,
which is very interesting.
Yeah, she ended up taking care of Courtney during Courtney's just being Courtney. Frances was the one, the caregiver. She's just like her dad, probably, big-hearted, very caring, things like that. Definitely not like her mother. So yes.
Yeah.
So
it's well. No, I was just gonna say plus like it's probably even worse than we know. Like with Courtney because she had the last word, so to speak, and was able to whitewash a lot of stuff that happened. So it's like
right.
You hear different things, and Tom Grant exposed a lot of shady stuff, but she, we're only getting probably only a really small percentage of some of the crazy stuff that went on. I would imagine it was probably a lot worse.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
So at 7:25 p.m., Cobain told the clinic staff he's stepping out onto the patio for a smoke. And according to Courtney, he jumped over the fence. Actually, it was a brick wall more than 6 feet high. So, but they said they watch their patients really well, says the spokesperson for Exodus, but some do get out. Again, this wasn't a lockdown, it was voluntary. But
what date was that on? 1/1.
Was
that the 30th?
I think it's March 30th.
Yeah.
Because April 1st he takes a flight. So
right.
I think it's March 30th.
Yep.
So what's annoying about, they write all these, they have these articles, but they don't even say who the visitor was. He had all kinds of visitors, including the nanny and his daughter. So, it could have been the nanny that they got the quote from. Yeah.
No, I think March 30th is the day that he checked himself into the facility in LA. And then a couple days later, April 1st is the day that he left. There we go.
Oh, okay. Yes. April 1st. Okay.
Yeah.
I had to look at my notes, but yeah. I know there's a lot of dates to get.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of dates. So again, like when people say he escaped Exodus, it's not court ordered. Okay, it was not court sanctioned. It was something he did willingly. He could have walked out the front door if he wanted to.
Yeah, it says he left AMA, which is against medical advice, but he was free to go.
The only reason he didn't and the only reason he probably didn't go through the front door is because staff members and counselors would have, he would have had to go by them, and probably tried to guilt trip him into staying. And it would have taken him longer, like 30 minutes to an hour to get out the door if he would have went out the front. So it was just easier for him to hop the fence there. He wasn't in jail. He didn't escape. He walked away. So from there, he leaves at 7:25. He catches a taxi, and then he goes to the airport. And on his flight back home to Seattle, where he needs to go feed this demon of an addiction again, he sits next to none other than, ironically, Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses. And there seemed to be an ongoing tension there between Cobain and Axl Rose. It seemed like a lot of people had issues with Axl Rose, including their own band.
Yeah,
I never liked Axl Rose. I could never stand him ever.
Right. So what's important about this is Duff McKagan. He's really the last, if you want to say it, he's really kind of the last credible eyewitness account of Kurt Cobain being alive. Obviously, he's not the last person to see him live, but he's the last credible person to see him alive. So if you can play that first, Robin, I think I have it labeled, I don't know, something 1.
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay. Okay, so let me remove this. Bear with me. I'm sorry. Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves, guys.
Yeah, at that point, like one said, when he took the taxi, he went back to Washington. He basically went into seclusion at his Washington home and hid there, staying out of the public eye, staying away from everybody, except the people, like one said, that he would do his drugs with. Just to get himself sorted out, in my opinion, to stay the hell away from her is what he was trying to do.
Right.
He did not want her to find him no matter what, as he was going through what he was going to be doing, trying to shut him down, stop him from doing what he was going to do.
Right.
I think that's taking his own life.
I think that's the second one. Yeah, I see the second one on stage.
Yep. Hang on a second. There we go. So not the one with the 2 guys, it's the other one.
It should be this one.
Go ahead.
And I was flying from LA up to Seattle to home. And I get on the plane, and Kurt gets on the plane and sits next to me. And we took off, and, he and I started talking. He had told me, he goes, I just took off from Exodus. We talked, we were drinking. And
I mean, did you talk about any of that heroin addiction on that plane journey with Kurt?
No, because we didn't want to, no way. It wasn't an addiction. On that plane ride? When you're drinking on a plane, you're not going to talk about addiction. We got to Seattle, we went to baggage claim, and he was pretty down. And a friend of mine, this guy Eddie, met me at baggage claim in Seattle. Kurt and Eddie went out to have a smoke, and my friend Eddie came back in. I said, hey man, maybe we should take him over to the house tonight, And we were drinking, so it wasn't a thing like I foresaw anything by any means. But he was down and he was on his own. So Eddie went back out to get Kurt, and right at that moment, his car had picked him up. And he was...
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's it from that. And then he had another, it was like some years later, he was interviewed again by this Loudwire, and we'll
Duff
play.
was, for those of you that don't know, was a bass player for Guns N' Roses. In case anybody didn't know that.
Yeah, well,
Or
I guess so.
yeah, bass player. Sorry.
Yeah.
I get Izzy Stradlin was a guitar player. Okay.
It's not commercial at all. You know, it might become commercial because it's different. Yeah. Like Nirvana wasn't a commercial rock band. They became commercial because they changed a lot of things, and Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and all of that stuff.
What do you remember from that certain flight, April 1st, 94?
Oh, with Kurt? Yeah. I was pretty bucked up. You know, we were both bucked up. It wouldn't have been a big deal. It was something like, even at that time, we were just two fucked up guys, but we were both in big bands, and we landed at the airport. We were kind of talked about. I mean, my pancreas blew up 4 weeks later. He died 2 days later. So that's where we were both at in our life, like at the end of our ropes. But that's it. I didn't have a sense that he was going to die in 2 days. But again, a lot of my friends and peers were dying around then, or had died. And I was getting numb to it. I was too fucked up to really take it in. It's like, oh, another one fell, you know.
Okay, that's a little bit of an odd turn of phrase there. All my friends were fucking
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It's wild to see that they're from two different worlds, basically. Guns N' Roses,
Yeah.
you know, 80s hard rock, and then here's Kurt Cobain, pretty much the king of grunge that started a whole new era of music, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But that shows you guys the humanized side of them, you know, both having shitty times in their life, because Duff had a very bad alcohol and drug problem as well. And they were both kind of at the bottom of the barrel, you know, in their lives per se. In fact, if I remember correctly, Duff died once, had to be brought back, as well as Steven Adler, the drummer, who was on that. He was also very bad. Steven Adler had a stroke because of his drug addiction. It was so bad. He was the original drummer for Guns N' Roses, and then they had to nix him because of the situation with drugs and stuff like that. And that's when they brought the other guy in. Anyway, sorry.
And Duff was from Seattle.
Yeah,
which is kind of ironic, right? Because he was, you know, Guns N' Roses, the whiskey, LA,
Right.
you know?
Right. Right.
yeah, he was another Seattle boy, 100%. Very wild stuff.
So from what we saw, you can like he did his best to try to recount the situation, but you know, you think about it, wouldn't it have been great if Kurt's taxi hadn't arrived and he would have left with Duff? Maybe it would have altered events.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, 100%.
Crazy.
Yeah, if he'd have went to stay with them, I mean, granted, they would have been partying, but
right.
Odds are Kurt may still have been alive because they'd have kept him company, kept him from himself per se. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kept him from being in the situation where the other people were going to be there. So,
right.
And that's crazy. Yeah, Angie's correct. That is right.
So, and this is a key thing. So they, again, Rolling Stone magazine is used a lot, you know, is referred to a lot, but this is, you know, remember that there are mistakes or things that can be made from, you know, anyone. So they June 2nd, 1994, you know, they say the next day, meaning April 2nd, they're talking about Kurt hopping a wall. Wow, look who's here.
I'm sorry I'm interrupting.
That's all right.
I'm giddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can tell he's back there like, oh my God, what?
I knew you were gonna pop up.
Yeah, I did too.
I knew it.
I
thought you were gonna wait a while, but if I didn't know you were gonna put me immediately on screen, I was gonna hang out for a minute and wait for a moment. But
so the next day, Love canceled Cobain's credit cards and hired private investigators to track him down. This is false. She did not hire Tom Grant until Sunday. Easter Sunday was when she called him. That would have been April 3rd, not April 2nd. So said on Easter Sunday, he was in his office, with a private investigator, worked for me named Ben Klugman. They were dealing with a client when the phone rang. She said, well, my husband and I are kind of famous and we need to get this done right away. I'd like to make the point that to this day, Tom Grant, and this is key, he makes his living off of catching very, very specific details that other people miss. So clearly he's not going to lie and say that she called him on Saturday when in fact she called him on Easter. Like he wouldn't make a mistake like that.
No, he was actually surprised anybody was calling on Easter Sunday the way they were because of that. Yeah.
So
thank God she did call him, because we probably wouldn't know any of this shit if it wasn't for him.
Oh my God, yeah. Because I mean, he was no dummy, and the way that he just instantly knew something was wrong with this woman.
Yeah, instantly. She's full of shit. I'm recording everything.
Yep.
And he was a stand-up guy. You know, he was more concerned. He was
real deal. He was the real deal
guy.
And that's, you got to give him that, JJ, in my opinion, because he was initially a law enforcement officer, and the real, like, he towed the line. He did the right stuff. He wasn't, like one he was on one of the good guys. We'll just put it that way. So
yep.
So what did they Seattle, I am assuming they won. You seem a little bit happy. So.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I really am.
No, that's okay.
I thought I would come hang out for a minute backstage, and if an opportunity came up, I didn't mean for you to stop your show.
No, that's okay. We love to see you.
But yeah, it was a nail biter and I apologize to anybody who's getting a spoiler by seeing me on screen that may not know this. Actually, I hate that when it happens to me. My wife said, though, you owe somebody payback because somebody ruined the score for you the other day. And I'm like, I'm just going to show up and wear some gear. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not.
They already told us in chat that they
they already told us in the chat.
It's actually funny because I was a little behind in the game and I kept hearing Discord blowing up on my machine, just bing, 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 bing. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I looked and I saw a Go Hawks thing. And I was like, oh shit, I better stay off Discord. So I got to watch my game, but yeah, it was super exciting. Sorry to interrupt the flow.
That's okay.
But yeah, I've been a longtime Seahawk fan, and this has been an exciting season, and I'm terribly thrilled.
And you're playing against who now?
The Patriots. The Patriots.
The Broncos lost. DA could have been me and you.
I
know. When I was watching the game, I was like several Broncos fans, including you, and they'd be like, "Oh shit." I feel
bad. Tomboy's gonna be. See, here's the thing. Tomboy is a Broncos fan, and her wife is a Seahawks fan, as you well know. So that household, I'm sure, was like,
I can't even imagine what. Yeah. And all I gotta say, like, I'll get off the screen quick because I want to let you guys get back to it. But yeah, I was actually kind of thankful that the Broncos got knocked off earlier because I didn't want to have that added shit at the end with the Broncos versus the Seahawks for the Super Bowl and make everybody mad. So it's like, at least now it's a non-starter. It's just a Patriots thing. So
I hate the Patriots. I'm so tired of seeing them go to Super Bowl. Beat the hell out of them, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, you guys have a great show. Thanks for letting me on and do my little victory dance. It was exciting. I mean, I had nothing to do with the Seahawks victory. I'm not on the fucking team. But the point being is that this is the way we are in America. We get excited about our team when we feel some kind of sort of accomplishment, even though we had nothing to do with it. But thank you.
Well, your boy got his ass kicked last night, DA. So
oh my God.
He won today.
What a hard way to make a living. Pimblett got his ass kicked, and he's my favorite fighter, but he got his butt kicked. Anyways, that's another thing. But thank you guys, and have a great rest of your show.
All right. Thank you.
See you tomorrow, boss.
So now from here, so Kirk goes to Seattle. So want to kind of not take a sidetrack, but now there are going to be two people who come into our story here, who play an important part. So if I could give a little background on them. Okay, so I think they're both important, but one of them, I think there's probably, knee deep in helping with the
What
suicide cover up.
What date are you on right now, though?
What date am I? Well, right now he just flew to Seattle.
Okay,
so it should be. So it should be
April 1st.
Yeah, April 1st.
All right, because I have something for April 3rd. Whenever you get to that point, I'm just trying to keep in your timeline with you.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of important in my opinion.
Yeah. So the two people I'm gonna mention. Okay, one of them his name is Michael Andrew DeWitt, or better known as Callie DeWitt. And the second person is Jessica Hopper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are two important people. We'll go into a little bit of information about them, and they're going to play a part in the next sort of part of the timeline, and they're going to have probably a bunch of things to do with some of this alleged suicide and other things. So I guess I'll mention. So I really don't. I'll give you what I have. Maybe Dago has a little bit more than I do.
I do.
So what I have on Callie DeWitt, born Michael Andrew DeWitt. He's an artist, designer, and blogger. He lives in Los Angeles. He was born in Sydney, British Columbia, on Vancouver Island. He moved to Los Angeles, California at the age of 3. DeWitt grew up in San Fernando Valley and moved to New York at the age of 19 after going on tour with the band Hole. DeWitt lived briefly in Seattle while working as Francis Bean Cobain's nanny. He appears in drag on the CD of Nirvana's In Utero. DeWitt moved back to LA, and at 21, he worked at A&R at Geffen Records for a short time. He worked at Los Angeles music venue Jabberjaw, and he co-founded the label Teenage Teardrops in 2006 with Brian Ray. 2008, DeWitt and David Kramer opened an art gallery in Echo Park called the Hope Gallery. For the 2015 LA Art Book Fair, DeWitt made a large mural with the text "Crying at the Orgy," and in addition with printed matter called Adult Books. In 2016, DeWitt created the merchandise for Kanye's West, The Life of Pablo tour. And then he directed a bunch of music videos. So I don't know if you want to chime, if you have some other info you want to throw in there on DeWitt.
I mean, you've given a lot. I mean, let's see, Callie. Oh Lord, let me see. What do I have on Callie? Down here, I have different publications he was involved with.
Yeah.
White Girl, Station Fire, made in Los Angeles between August, December 2009. Sorry, White Girl. When I Die, This Natural World, World News 2011, Pissing Contest, Pitbull News, New Rose in Town, and Graveyard. These are all like press releases and stories and stuff that he put out. Did a lot of album art, so on and so forth. He directed a lot of quite a few music videos, so on and so forth. I'm not even going to say them all. There's quite a few. But he was very active in Hollywood and the scene, the music scene, and stuff like that. Very, very. And if you guys haven't understood this, he was born Michael Andrew DeWitt and went by the name Callie DeWitt because
he moved from Cali.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then along with Callie was did you want to go into Jessica, or do you want me to read into her?
Yeah, I'll put what I have, and then you can, I guess, just throw in. So Jessica Hopper. She was born September 5th, 1976. She's an American writer. She published the first collection of criticism by a living female rock critic, a compilation of her essays. What else? Published in 2018, published a memoir, Night Moves. So Jessica Hopper was born in Indiana, grew up in Minneapolis. Her mother was a newspaper editor, her father a journalist, and her stepfather a prosecutor, all of which Hopper has described as fueling her interest in journalism and investment in finding the truth for more generally. She began writing criticism as a teenager, spurred by a frustrated sense that a magazine had misunderstood one of her favorite bands, Babes in Toyland. The piece, Hopper recalled later, characterized the music as caustic and shrieky, where Hopper found these aesthetics really empowering. At 15, Hopper called the magazine to argue they should publish new review written by her. The magazine didn't respond, but Harper started her own fanzine. By the next year, at 16, she began freelancing for alternative weekly city pages. A feminist punk, Hopper was encouraged by music critic Terry Sutton to find her own staunch and caustic and uncompromising voice. Since then, Hopper has written for publications including the Chicago Tribune, the Chicago Reader, and Spin. She was a music supervisor for the American Life and the first music editor of the radical teen girl webzine Rookie. From 1991 to 2005, she published the fanzine Hit It or Quit It. Alongside her writing, Hopper worked in public relations and managing bands until her late 20s, when she quit to write full-time. Hopper was a senior editor of Pitchfork and the editor-in-chief of the print quarterly, the Pitchfork Review, from October 2014 to November 2015. She was appointed the editorial director of music for MTV News in 2016. Writing in The Guardian, Laura Snapes described Hopper as one of a handful of music journalists whose every new piece feels like an event. So she's involved in a lot of different documentaries and stuff like that. So but just before Dago chimes in and adds some stuff, we're gonna get into why are we talking about these two people. So when Kurt arrived in Seattle at the house, these two people were there. They were at the house. So, and they, if you want to say, kind of I don't know, under the puppet strings of Courtney, I guess you could use the term. So there you go. I don't know if you wanted to add anything more. See there.
Before he does, I mean, just from what you're, I just want to say this real quick, because if I don't,
Yeah, go ahead.
it wasn't like these two people. I mean, if you're just listening and you don't know these people at all, they didn't seem like dumb. How did they wind up being like
I'm gonna get into
nanny
that.
and stuff?
Yeah, I'm gonna get
like
into
that.
that.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah,
just
I'm
saying.
gonna
I'm
get
just
it.
thinking out loud. It's like,
I'm gonna get into some.
they
I'm
don't
gonna
sound
explain
like
that.
stupid people.
No,
but
especially
weird.
Jessica. If you
Right.
listen, Jessica Hopper's background, like,
Right.
And I'm gonna.
That's what I mean. I'm just listening to this
yeah,
as you're saying it, and I'm like, these aren't people that sound like they would be
You'll
doing
get it
this.
when he
So,
puts it out
but
there.
I
You'll get
digress.
it. Yeah,
Right.
definitely makes sense. But I want to add. I mean, you've told the story pretty much for Hopper and Callie very well, but I'm going to add another. I'm sure JJ will appreciate this as well and understand. Mark Lanigan is another very important part of this. Okay. Especially with the people that were at the Washington home whenever Kurt got there and got home, along with Dylan, who we explained to you before. Dylan Carlson was Kurt's best friend. Lanigan was very close to him as well. Mark Lanigan was the lead singer for Screaming Trees, another grunge band. Again, he first became prominent as the singer for the band way back, and then was also a member of Queens of the Stone Age, if you guys remember them, and Gutter Twins.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody knows those bands, but and he also released 12 solo albums as well as 3 collaborations with Isabel Campbell and with Duke Garwood. Sorry. He was known for he had a very like weirdly baritone voice, kind of like Pete Steele from Typo Negative, kind of the deep, anyway.
Cool voice.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very interesting. Like it catches your eye immediately when you hear it. Anyway, he was described as what the hell was it? Where'd it go? Oh yeah, his voice was described as as scratchy as a 3-day beard, whatever you want to take that as. But anyway, Lanegan began his music career in '84 in Screaming Trees, with whom he released 7 studio albums, 5 EPs, before their disbandment in the year 2000. During his time with the band, he also began a solo career and released his first solo studio album, The Winding Sheet. In 1990, he then released 10 more solo albums, which received critical recognition, but only moderate commercial success. Following the end of Screaming Trees, he became a frequent collaborator with Queens of the Stone Age, which was another great band, and was a full-time member between 01 and 05. So he collaborated with various artists during his career in the 90s, and he and Kurt Cobain recorded an album of what the hell was that? Lead Belly covers that.
Oh yeah.
Were ultimately never released. He also joined Lane Staley from Alice in Chains and Mike McCready in the band Mad Season, and formed the alternative rock group The Gutter Twins. With Greg Dully in 03, as well as contributing to releases by Moby, Bomb the Bass, Soul Sabers, I never could say that right. Tina Rywan, The Twilight Singers, Manic Street Preachers, and Uncle, among others. As always, and what seems to be the regular, Lanegan struggled with addiction to drugs and alcohol throughout his life, but had been sober for over 10 years at the time of his death. Encouraged by his friend Anthony Bourdain, we all know who that is, he released the memoir Sing Backwards and Weep in 2020. He followed this up in 21 with the memoir Devil in a Coma, which focused on his near-death experience with the Big C-19. He and his wife, Shelley Breen, left the U.S. in 2020 and settled in the Irish town of Killarney, where he died 2 years later at the age of 57. No cause of death was revealed. So to get to the important part as to why he is important here, because there's a whole lot about his background and so on and so forth that I have. It has no bearing on this, okay? A lot of bands he was close to and with.
Right.
Where are we at here?
And Dago, you obviously are very familiar with this music scene, because I was too.
Yeah, big time.
And so I think it's cool to add these asides, because these are like really important people in that scene. And he was very close with Kurt.
Very close. Mark was big
he
time.
was a brilliant artist in his own right, for people who don't know much about him. I mean, really cool voice. I highly recommend, if you don't know him, listen to some of his stuff.
Yeah, you'll be mesmerized by it. It's not something you hear every day, folks, by no means. No means whatsoever. I'm just trying to I have so much on Mark Lanegan, it's crazy. When I looked into Kurt, you have to look into all
this is Callie. He's an artist now, and I find this art very interesting. This is him at a gallery, apparently. So,
yeah.
All right, come on. Where'd we go? Good God. And it's crazy, guys. Like sometimes with like Wikipedia and stuff like that, or LinkedIn, when you look up people, you go into things, there's like little paragraphs. Mark Lanegan is loaded. Loaded.
He was a badass, man.
Yeah.
He was a badass singer-songwriter. One of the most unique voices you could ever hear.
Right. Okay, here we go. So most importantly, Lanegan struggled with alcoholism and heroin addiction during the 90s and early 2000s. In his 2020 memoir, he claimed that he was reveled as the town drunk before he could even legally drink. At the age of 12, during a Screaming Trees tour in 92, his arm became so badly infected from using heroin needles that doctors considered amputating it. After leaving the Trees, he became a homeless person for a period and then entered rehab in 97. He credited Courtney, who recommended and paid for a year of his rehab and months of rental payments and saving his life. Now, think about what I just said to you guys. Now I'm gonna tell you that this man was at the house with Dylan Carlson when Kurt went home to the house. Okay, they were all there, just so you understand.
Yep.
So think about what I'm telling you guys. That Mark Lanigan credits Courtney Love, who recommended and paid for a year of his rehab and months of rental payments. That's all I'm going to tell you. You take that float around in your brain, and I'll just tell you, okay?
Yeah.
So
Courtney,
after, there's
she's like a puppet master. She's like the puppeteer.
Yeah.
That's really what she is.
And this was after hold on a minute here. Where we at? Yeah, this was after Kurt died. This was in 97. So I'm going to give you my thought, okay? I'll just give you my thought. Let me see. 3 years after Kurt Cobain dies, this guy was friends with Kurt. Courtney probably shouldn't be around him anymore, in my opinion, but she is. And I got to wonder if she's paying for a year of his rehab, paying rental payments of his, things like this, so on and so forth. Could it be that she's doing this to keep him quiet?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying, folks. That's what I want you guys to understand. So it just wouldn't make sense for Mark Lanigan to be hanging out with Courtney Love or to have any kind of like interactions with her 3 years after one of his closest friends died. Now we're at this point. So that's all I'm telling you guys. When I read through all this stuff and found out a lot of these things, I was like, wait a minute now, come on. So anyway.
So
go ahead.
So we want to okay. So you ready? You're done with
okay. I just wanted to put Lanigan kind of put him into the mix there because he's very important in my opinion.
Yeah. So. All right. So it's April 2nd. And it's in the wee morning hours. Kurt arrives back in Seattle. He takes a taxi to his Seattle, Washington Boulevard home. 6 in the morning. It's 6 in the morning. If you want to be specific, 6:05 a.m. Kurt walks into the guest bedroom. And who does he find? Michael, Kaylee DeWitt, and Jessica Hopper are asleep after a night of partying and binging. Sit down on the bed, and according to them, they can't really remember what he said. Jessica does say that she woke up and she told Kurt that Courtney was worried about him and that he needed to call her. So, this is basically reported in, a lot of different articles and whatnot, basically reporting the same thing. So kind of directing your attention. So there's one specific by rocknyc.live. In this, they have a paragraph and a timeline of events according to biographer Charles R. Cross. Kurt was home on Sunday, April 2nd, only 6 days before he was found dead. He went to Kaylee's room around 6, sat on the end of the bed, and even sang "Hey, Skinhead Girl" to Jessica, obviously jokingly, who asked him to call Courtney because she was freaking out. So Jessica asked Kurt to call Courtney. Then they made a call, but Courtney wasn't taking any calls. He calls the hotel and they say, sorry, she's not taking calls right now. So you're telling me that, so think about this. You learn that your husband walked away from rehab and you think that he has a shotgun and you think he's suicidal, but you decide not to accept phone calls to your hotel room. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense at all?
Nope.
Oh, you're muted. There you go. You're muted.
Of course not. And I do have one more thing to slide into there too, whenever you're ready.
So
for
now,
April 3rd.
Yeah, I'm still on it. Right. So remember that this is according mainly to Jessica Hopper. After the fact, when everyone finds out that he's passed away, she's questioned about this, and that's the story that she gave. She told him to call Courtney. That's what she claims. And she said, we tried to call Courtney. She wasn't accepting phone calls. So now I'm going to give a little bit more info on not crazy amount. We already gave some, but a little bit more kind of addressing what you said, what you asked Robin. So people could understand what's the
let
deal
me
with
just
these
say
guys.
something. We are I see some people are like, get to the crime, well, we're getting there, but there are people who are new to this case.
Yeah.
So, and like me, I don't know every single thing about this case. So some of this stuff is interesting for people who are coming in new to this case, or maybe have forgotten a lot of things about it. So
yeah, we're
kind of
getting
like
there.
laying this groundwork
Right.
is important so that you understand who these people are around the case, for
right.
those who may not be as familiar with the case
And
as
there's a
some
lot
of you. So,
behind this, so that everybody would
Yeah,
understand
and
why
these
we're
people,
not why we're
yeah,
not accepting that he killed himself. That's
and
why.
these people, right?
Exactly.
These people, these two people have an important role. So,
right.
So just listen to this. So we got to see what, let's look at the kind of people that we're dealing with. So phone records prove that Kaylee and Courtney were in contact 8 times on April 2nd. It's interesting. More than any other day the entire week. But let's we'll start with Jessica Hopper a bit. So like I said, you do a search on her. We gave some of the info already. Her mother was a newspaper editor. Her father was a journalist. Her stepfather was an attorney. So, see, like you were saying, Robin, exactly. It seems like she must have had a pretty good life, or it appears that way, right? It seems like she was raised in a pretty educated household. To this day, Jessica Hopper is actually a rock music critic. She's even written for magazines such as Spin, Chicago Tribune, all kinds of publications. So let's dig a little deeper and see what else we can find about her. So Jessica Hopper is only 18 years old in 1994 when Kirk dies. So think about that. So how does the daughter of a newspaper editor, a journalist, a stepdaughter to an attorney meet Courtney Love? So there's a few things that talk about this, and it basically explains that she was a troubled teenager. She got highly involved in the punk scene, and around 15 to 16 years of age, Courtney Love took her under her wing.
Okay.
Clothed her, fed her, housed her, let her travel with her, and got her into heroin, of course, right? So we come to find out that Hopper's actually a teenage, angst-ridden, punk-rocking runaway who is impressionable and looking for her place in the world, who Courtney Love is harboring. A minor. If a man did that, right? If a 20-something-year-old man took a 15-year-old girl under his wing, oh my God, what would we think of that man? If a 20-something-year-old man took a 15-year-old boy under his wing that he wasn't related to, that he didn't know any other family. So we ask ourselves, what does Courtney get out of this relationship by spending money on this girl? This girl was raised in a house of journalists, editors, and her parents have passed their talent along to her. Jessica is trying to get a fanzine published. Courtney, the pieces are right there. Courtney wants to be famous. She wants to be able to control the articles that are written about her. And she finds in Jessica this impressionable young punk rocker girl who has a talent for writing. There you go.
There. Okay. Okay. All right. I get it now. All right.
Who is struggling to find her way in the world, and Courtney takes her under her wing and actually pays for Jessica's fanzine to be published. Los Angeles Review of review of books for Jessica Hopper running into Courtney Love was more than just another celebrity sighting. Hopper was finishing up her first tour for her new book, the first collection of criticism by a living female rock critic. And she was making her way through LAX, the airport in Los Angeles, to catch a flight home to Chicago. I'm going up the escalator and I look up and there's Courtney Love. Hopper recalls way back in the 90s, Courtney supported my fanzine. She paid for the printing of my third issue. I was in 11th grade. Hopper basically owes her introduction into the rock world around all these famous musicians, around this punk rock party lifestyle. She owes it all to Courtney. None of it would have happened without Courtney. Jessica Hopper's dream is to be a music journalist, and Courtney Love can make or break her. So now let's look at Callie DeWitt a little bit. Mention him. So we find out that Callie DeWitt met Courtney about 4 years prior to Kurt's death. Same situation. He's underage, and he begins as a roadie for Hole. She takes him on as a roadie. Okay, so now we also know that Courtney slept with Callie DeWitt. What you may have not known is that when she slept with him, Courtney was in her 20s. How old Callie was, we're not really 100% sure of.
He was a teenager.
Yeah. Did she wait? Did she wait? Did she not wait until his 18th birthday? Both DeWitt and Hopper appear to have been befriended by Mr. Cobain's widow, Courtney Love, when they were minors. And DeWitt asserts that Love took him under her wing approximately 4 years prior to Cobain's death. I bet she did.
There's rumors that Courtney had sexual interactions with Hopper as well, you guys.
Right. When he was 16, Hopper indicates that Love befriended her approximately 2 years prior to Mr. Cobain's passing, when she was either 15 or 16. Miss Love has a history of violence and manipulation and engaged in a number of suspicious behaviors near the time of her husband's death, including misrepresenting her identity in a missing persons report filed with the Seattle Police Department. We'll get to that when later on. So as you can see, both Michael Callie DeWitt and Jessica Hopper were sort of troubled teenagers with no real clear path. They even got into heroin at very, very young ages, and probably because of Courtney.
And you can see the pattern, folks, I'm sure.
Right.
The pattern is
Courtney, right. Courtney uses this to her advantage. She says, I'm going to give you guys careers. One of you can be the most famous musician on earth, nanny, and the other can publish for fanzine. I'm going to fund your lives, make sure that you're successful. And we all know that Courtney's very manipulative. We all know that she lies. What you may not know is that Courtney often uses, is what we keep going to, the pattern of behavior, right? She often uses her money and heroin addiction to control the people she has around her. In return, she commands absolute loyalty. Whatever you do, don't betray me or I will cut you off and you will have nothing. So now that we know a little bit about Michael DeWitt, Jessica Hopper, and where the loyalties lie, now we can get into moving a little bit forward towards April 3rd. And that's the day that Courtney Love hires private investigator Tom Grant, which is Easter Sunday. So that's it for them. That's the introduction to Callie. And so now you guys can kind of see how Courtney is the puppet master. She's pulling the strings.
Got it.
So
And there's a huge there's way more than who he just that she had control of, guys. Like she took advantage of, and I don't know how she's gotten away with this, but many underage people, young kids, getting them wrapped up in drugs to take those strings, the marionette strings, okay, and promises that she made. I mean, this is why I can't stand her so bad. There's so much of a dark cloud hanging over this woman's head. She's just trash.
Well,
but anyway,
this comment makes a lot of sense then.
Yep.
If she had a predilection for preying on the young, yep.
Yes.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that.
She's
her name
definitely
was
wrapped up
yeah.
in Epstein Island for sure. I'll promise.
Yeah, that's a crazy fucking thread right there, man.
Yeah.
That's a big fucking thread. But like one thing too is just by total coincidence, because when we started doing this Kurt Cobain case, I started rewatching all these old grunge documentaries.
Yeah.
Right.
Just random ones about the scene, how it started, who were the key players, who were the bands that influenced it. And Jessica Hopper is giving commentary because she's a pretty established music journalist now, but she was part of that whole Riot Girl scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I'm guessing, got exposed to Courtney. I
think so too. Yeah.
Through that scene, right? When she was young, like the Riot Girl scene.
Yeah.
You guys probably know what that is.
Yes, I do.
Olympia and that whole scene, like Bikini Kill and all these other bands. But that was like interesting to me because I'm like, I know this woman's name.
Yeah.
I'm like watching these documentaries. And I'm like, Jessica Hopper. Recently, I'm like, I know that name for some reason. And this has reminded me of it. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's the girl involved who was there at the house.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Very much so. It's crazy. It's crazy the chain of these people, how they all link back to us. One specific situation, one person, and like one calls her the puppet master. There's so much evil behind this woman. It's not even funny, in my opinion. So, you're moving into April 3rd now, 1-1.
Yeah, if you want,
I'll just go into that. Yeah, on the 3rd. I'm sorry.
No, I said go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say on April 3rd now, guys. This is all. Kurt had gone home, and he's kind of been hiding at his Washington home. We have these people that 1-1 just described there. Mark Lanigan is there. Dylan Carlson is there. These are the people that Kurt was surrounded by on a regular basis. Okay, and of course Courtney's not here, but we'll just say, Kurt was involved. This was widely publicized, by the way, in another police incident. You guys, they were called to the Cobain home after Courtney said she claims that she found a note that seemed to suggest that Kurt had been contemplating suicide. Now, we go back to the Rome incident where she starts the whole he wants to kill himself scenario, right? Now we have on April 3rd, after Kurt leaves the rehab, will not communicate with her, will not return her phone calls, nothing. None of this stuff, okay? She called I can't remember the rehab. I don't know how many times she had called the rehab trying to talk to him. He ignored it, and then he left. So all of that. So she calls the police, says she finds a quote unquote suicide note, which she said she found in their home, and it raised alarm bells, prompting the police to go search for Kurt. Okay. And at that time, he was reported missing at that point, because at the same time she called Tom Grant, said this, that, and everything else.
Right.
So this is another attempt at her putting the narrative out that her husband, Kurt Cobain, is suicidal. Once again, if you think about the situation, this woman is completely, just like we've all seen in the Idaho 4 case, creating a narrative based on propaganda that she is purposely putting out to the media and things like that. It's the same situation, guys. So the whole world at this point is believing Kurt wants to kill himself. Okay. Setting the stage for the play, in my opinion.
It's interesting. And she doesn't even put her name on the missing persons report. She uses his mother's name.
Yep. And
I mean, that's the news. the news reports that the mother, but the mother had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And then at this time, the whole thing, with the police being alerted to this quote unquote supposed, I think one kind of referenced that earlier on. But they conducted a search of his home. He wasn't found. It was later revealed that he had barricaded himself in a room to escape the situation. Okay. The incident, combined with his withdrawal from the rehab, was another indicator of how deeply Cobain was struggling. This is what she wants everybody to believe. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And his erratic behavior, including the notes and incidents leading up to the disappearance, painted a picture of someone in deep emotional and mental distress. Now, in my opinion, if there were notes, and we're going to get into this whole the one and only main suicide note at some point, not tonight, probably.
Not tonight, but yeah.
Because there's a lot that go into that. So again, I'm going to tell you that if she produces this suicide note from April 3rd, it's something she created, in my opinion. There was no Kurt Cobain was not, for the 3 millionth time in the world, I'm going to say this again, was not going to take his own life, you guys, in my opinion. There's no reason for him. He was headed in his life that he wanted to live, period. Okay. And it was definitely not something Courtney wanted. So in turn, here we are.
Well, all the behavior, and you got to look at the behavior that he's, in these events. Obviously, no one likes, fighting with a, ex or whatever, wife, husband. Of course, it's going to create stress.
Right.
But everything was really, he was fighting his addiction.
Yeah.
But you guys also have to remember, I didn't really mention it, and this is a big deal too. He had, I forget the name, maybe, Dago or Jay, maybe you guys will know specifically. I know he had a severe stomach issue for like 6 years. He was taking medicine. He was constantly under pain. And that probably is a big, some people always want to think like, he's just like, he's a, rock star or punk rock, this or that. That's why he's in drugs. Yeah, there are rock stars do party and whatever. Yes, in that scene, but it also could be more.
Your microphone's going crazy.
It's going crazy.
It's like it's like all staticky. Like,
can you hear me now?
Yeah, it sounds okay to me.
It sounds okay to me, but could be on your end there. Can I just wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
Okay, now you sound weird.
So it must be on your end, Robin.
Okay.
Like what one was just saying is like there, and what Dago was just saying, there's all this narrative pushing, and one of the narratives that was being pushed a lot to attribute his drug use and stuff was, his severe stomach issues. Well, he said it himself in an interview. He said, like, man, I was like taking this medication. I was always in pain. And then I got on this new medication, and it was like all the stomach problems went away. Like, you can watch that interview with Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
So before he died, this is his words.
Yep.
Completely gone. He got on a new medication. He was on the wrong medication, and it completely eliminated his stomach issues. And he was like, I feel great.
Yeah.
So that was just another one of those narratives that was being pushed to kind of, feed the machine of this overarching narrative.
Right. To control the entire situation. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, that's why he was headed in a different path. His stomach was worked out. He was, and truly, honestly, part of his addiction was based on self-medication because of the stomach issues back in the day.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was getting to was, I know he's a rock band or whatever, but I think what really got him into the addiction was his pain. As you see this as a pattern with many people who, it's not fun to live in pain, especially if it's like, never-ending pain, like every day, and it's just, you know, you can't sleep well, you can't think well, and whatever. So what do you do to get away from the pain? You try to numb yourself. You know, it
I'll be right
makes
back.
sense.
I have to fix my speaker. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. So all the patterns to me, like what to me, he was definitely he was going on the right path. I mean, he might not obviously maybe he wasn't completely there. He wasn't completely done with his addiction, but he was making an attempt, and I really think he was there's a strong chance he was going to get there. I think he really wanted to build, you know, he had a love for his daughter. And you know, anyone that has kids, like, you know, you do anything for your kids, but most, you know, if you're really, you know, you're a loving parent, that could be something that could set you straight. Definitely, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you know, I always go back to this, but when, you know, artists, especially really prolific and deep artists, are sensitive people, you know, and
Very.
turmoil into, like, some people can handle stress and turmoil better than others. It's just different personality types. When you have this, like, really sensitive, clearly brilliant artist, and now he's dealing with a wife that's a lunatic, right? You want to separate from that. Like, it makes perfect sense to me. He was just like, this isn't, you know, because she was probably creating even more than we know
Oh yeah,
chaos in his
yeah,
life.
yeah.
And so it's also, when you're dealing with someone like Kurt Cobain was, it's also really easy to pin these narratives on him that we're all talking about, like with
Right.
Courtney and all this stuff. It's very easy to, oh, look at Kurt. He had an addiction and all this stuff, but it's easy to pin that stuff on somebody that's an artist. Oh, he's a, you know, deep, sensitive artist. But it seemed pretty clear to one's point. He was trying to move away from that chaos and away from the drug lifestyle, and obviously away from Courtney. We know that. We
Right.
know that. So it's like, but yet she knew that she could use that narrative.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was using that narrative very
Right.
effectively
Right.
for the media, at least.
Right, right. That's why people could say, you know, I know a lot of people say like, oh, Courtney Love, oh, she's so stupid and dumb and this and that. I can't stand her either, but I mean, she's very good at manipulation. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
100%. 100%. She probably was like that for most of her life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, with him feeling better, you know, fixing his stomach issues, seeing clear, you know, being clear, because you got to think about it, guys, like you were said, because I've been in pain for years because of my injury. It does cloud your view on life in some ways and certain things. And then when you're going to self-medication, that's going to cloud it more. And then you have this creature of darkness over here that you're married to, that he probably married in you know, the depth of the pain and the addiction and stuff like that. And, you know, now that he's coming out of this, wants to clean up, so on and so forth, she's like, oh, hell no. Nope, it's not going to happen that way. And, you know, we come to the current, that's cute. We come to, like, the current point in his life, and she's not having it. She's just not having it at all. Which is why she's planting these seeds, in my opinion, for the which you got to see it. You got to see it for what it is. And anybody that doesn't see this, I mean, you need to really look back at this again. And Tom saw it, in my opinion, the PI, like, right away. Okay. She's planting the seed for the suicidal behavior and then the thoughts and so on and so forth that the man never had. That this wasn't him. And she's planting this time and time. Rome, April 3rd, again, repeatedly telling everybody around her, I'm so worried about Kurt. I know he's suicidal. He's so this and he's so that and he's so blah, 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 blah. No, not even remotely close. And then what happens. So everybody goes, oh, but yeah, we remember she said that he was having these struggles, that he was going to do something like this, so on and so forth. Boom. She creates the story. It happens. It's over. And they ran with that. You know, that's the part that really bothers me. That's why we're explaining all this backstory stuff to you guys.
Yeah. Right.
So,
We're
go
just
ahead.
trying to get, we're trying to follow the timeline.
Yeah.
There's a bunch. We're probably going to cover this case, even probably a bunch of dates in February as well. There's a lot to cover. Even from, I could just tell you, even stuff that I know, even the autopsy report.
No, the autopsy stuff.
The autopsy report, from what my understanding, was labeled a suicide before they even got any. There was no lab. There was
nothing.
I watched an interview, or like kind of an explanation from Cyrette, however you say his name.
Yeah.
He said impossible. There's no way that they would have got, like, it would have taken at least a few days. There's no way that they could have ruled suicide that quickly without getting, without they couldn't have gotten the results.
They didn't have the right information to be able to do that.
Right. So like you look at the info and the stuff that they had, that they were doctoring with, you look at this stuff and I get like Idaho 4 nightmares. Like,
yeah, it's a lot.
It's
a lot like the same stuff, but
a lot of narrative pushing.
Yep.
But you can, if you want to go forward with the rest of April 3rd and when she gets a hold of Tom Grant and all that, I just wanted to give that whole one more seed she tried to plant with the whole suicide note and everything from the 3rd that time.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I know we're at 207, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Whatever you guys
we
want.
Unless if some people have some questions maybe or something, or I don't, or
JJ, anything else that you want to throw in there?
Or throw in anything. And I know JJ's, but we will definitely get into the FAF thing.
Yeah,
we may even do we may even cover that as like a separate, like a whole.
Yeah, because that's a whole other story too, right?
And it is and it's connected. It's definitely connected.
Yeah, I know. It's because I finished the biography about FAF. So one thing I wanted to add about that specifically is the Mark Lanigan is a really important player in all this.
Very much so.
Like so when Dago brought him up earlier, when you guys were mentioning his name, he's pretty pivotal because number one, he was good friends with Kurt. He was pretty extremely well regarded in the music scene, like big time, because they preceded Nirvana. The Screaming Trees and his projects preceded Nirvana. Right. He was an influential guy. And then of course the Courtney stuff. It's like this stuff is all intertwined. And the reason I just threw that in there is because people were saying, oh, Kristen Pfaff she really liked Mark Lanigan. It wasn't Kurt. It wasn't Kurt. The only reason that came up is because at Kurt's funeral, Kristen Pfaff, who was known to be a very aggressive, very self-actualized woman.
Yes.
She told people like, oh, I want to date him or whatever. I want to hook up with him or whatever. And she called him. She called Mark Lanigan shortly, like literally, like really shortly before she died. Right. But that doesn't dismiss the rumors about her and Kurt maybe having this potential to get together. I just want to throw that in there because it ties in with Mark Lanigan.
And that's why I pointed out that Courtney funded some things for Lanigan, because I believe that Lanigan knows a lot about what went on with Courtney and Kurt and even Kristen possibly as well. Yep. Therefore, hush money is hush money. Folks.
Yeah,
that's what I call it. That's exactly
what it is. That's what it is.
I believe that's why she was financially balancing him in that aspect. I'm going to point that out again. So
it was either like hush money or a combo of hush money and controlling the addiction to some of these people. Well,
and,
you know,
yeah, because Courtney Love, and I'm going to tell you now, guys, you see it how you want, but my opinion, Courtney Love does not know how to care for people, period. Like, she doesn't know how to truly love somebody or love a friend or a husband or even a child, in my opinion. Okay. She doesn't have that ability in her soul. It's all about like what she can gain from every situation. That's the type of person she is, whether it's from her own child, her husband, a friend, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, an old lady that she meets. It is about what she's going to gain in the end. It's not about true love or care or any of that, folks. Please don't mistake yourself. This is a horrible person, okay? Rooted with evil inside in the depths of her soul, period. And I don't know how anybody like this can exist in the world, but they do. And there's many people like this, okay? But she's one of them for sure.
Right.
Yep. Master manipulator. She's like she may be the queen puppeteer. Like she's
definitely one of them. Definitely.
She has
everything is transactional with her. It's like
right.
Everything.
Right. Like I know she's got a book coming out, and definitely that would be. But
she's broke.
She's broke. However,
right.
You know, be careful what you wish for sometimes, because as JJ he said, I think a week or two ago, whatever it was, you know, Candace Owens can be very shrewd too.
Oh God, I hope so.
Don't put it like if Candace Owens has if she may, you know, if she decided to do a deep dive and she's like, hey, I think this girl actually killed Kurt. She may just Candace may try to manipulate.
I'm praying
her on top. You know, it would be interesting. It'd be an interesting dynamic.
Very
possible. You know?
I am praying that Candace Owens pulls a Candace Owens on Courtney Love and does her thing, and it's all put to the world. And Courtney will have nothing. This is one thing I'll say. Courtney is a manipulator, but so is Candace in her own way. And I can't see Courtney standing up against Candace Owens and winning in that battle. I just don't see it.
No. So
God, I can only hope that happens.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting. I know.
And again, I know that there were people saying, can we get to the crime? Can we get to the crime? Listen, unlike many other cases and stories that get put out on YouTube, guys, we want to do this the right way with the timeline, give every background detail as to why so many people believe that this was not Kurt Cobain taking his own life, because there's so many red flags. There's so many bright red flags. There's so many hugely monstrous bright red flags in this that say he did not do this. And there's a lot of people that are instrumental in this entire situation. And that's why we're doing it this way.
Right. Yeah. I promise. Absolutely. Yeah, I promise. We will get to the suicide note. We're going to get to a lot of the
You'll understand it all.
We're going to get, I know we kind of did a little sidetrack last week. I know we covered a little bit of the crime scene with the shotgun, some stuff that Dago showed. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over that again. We're going to go over stuff. So don't think we're not going to cover it. We're going to cover it.
No,
we're just trying to give you guys a little background with some of these key players.
Right. And if you guys watch, you know, both of our channels, you know that we don't like to just rush through something, and especially for people who are coming into this case new, we want you to understand, because both of our channels' missions is talking about the cover-ups, the corruption, you know, and we want to show you why we believe what we believe and why many people believe this about Kurt Cobain's death. So and I just want to let you guys know, we want you to chat in the chat. Absolutely, please ask questions. We'll get to them when we can. We want you to chat. It was just, we were having a situation where it was one person and they were starting to get combative about some of the stuff they were saying. So please, we want you to chat. We love seeing your questions, your comments, So please don't stop doing that. So don't feel that you can't chat. We want you to. So but well, thank you, gentlemen, very much. Next week we'll pick back up again and get into more of this. I think we're pretty close up to the actual crime scene, aren't we?
Yeah, well, just about. We're gonna get to it next week.
Yeah, okay.
Where
So
we are,
okay,
where we are right
yep.
now, we're gonna probably cover a little bit about the missing person report, and
Okay,
and what
so we're
and
gonna
what
get into all that.
actually, and maybe a little bit of kind of maybe with some of the people what was going on when Kurt was missing there for the few
Yeah,
days.
there's some stories about Mark Lanigan, Dylan Carlson that need to be told
Okay.
during that period
Okay.
of time, along with Tom Grant. But I have a lot of stuff on forensics, thanks to Jen again. I also have the entire autopsy stuff, all of that stuff. We're going to show it all, and there's going to be. I have everything, folks, on the autopsy. So,
okay, so maybe, we'll get to that and too. This is why, folks, why we're anticipating we could be doing this for the whole month of February as well, because February is a short month, and there's just so much to do with this whole case. So, but
yeah, there's a lot of questions through this entire thing.
Right.
Even
so I know, right. Like I know a lot of people know, like, oh yeah, they don't believe, you know, they know some of the stuff about the immediate crime scene area, but there's so much more.
Wait till you see
and it's important, and it's important to know the background of these key players,
right?
And we're trying to paint the picture of how Courtney Love is really like a master puppeteer.
And really, you talk about fuckery. There's that
and also, and we don't want to be sterile. That's why we do a little asides, and we'll talk about different people in the case because it's interesting.
Yeah,
to know who these different people are and who they were to the big picture and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I promise
I'm finding it very interesting.
When we get into
you guys are like educating me because I know like a little bit about the case, but you know, so sitting here with you guys is really, you know, cool for me too. So
I promise, for those of you that don't know, because I know there's a few in here that are big fans that do know, but for those of you that don't, the details from the crime scene that we didn't touch on, and the details especially from the autopsy stuff, holy shit, folks. That's all I'm going to tell you. Be ready because there's a lot of craziness with this one again.
Yep. So be ready. So, well, we'll go around the horn. How about we go Joe Dego 1-1 and I'll close this out. So go right ahead there, JJ.
Yeah. Thanks again, everybody, for hanging out with us. It's I was such a big fan of that music and that era. Because I was coming up through that time and I got really into that music and was exposed to it. So it's not just the significance of Kurt Cobain, his murder, his alleged suicide.
Right.
But to me, it's interesting to talk about because you really do get a sense of what that scene was like.
Yeah.
When you find out about the peripheral people in the case, the Mark Lanigans, the Kristen Pfaffs, the, Callie, Jessica Hopper, like these people were embedded in that scene too. So for me, it's very interesting that we're going there. We're getting into the side stuff because to me, that's what makes things interesting to go off. So once again, thank you. Thanks to the denizens, the meatballs, and the mods. And I look forward to the next one.
Absolutely. And ditto to what JJ said. Like he said, there's so many other people that I didn't even know the Kirkwood brothers. I know who they were from the Meat Puppets, but I didn't know that Kurt had a ongoing communication process with these guys very shortly before he passed on. There's reasons in the background for that I had to look into that I didn't even know. That we'll get into, and so on and so forth. But there's a lot of that kind of stuff. That's why we're drawing this out, trying to give you the whole story instead of the short and sweet story that I've given before, that all these documentaries give. They give shorter versions of everything we're putting on for you guys. So that's why. And it gives a lot of even things like, even now as we talk about it, it's like I think you said this too, JJ. It's like re-enlightening my mind to the whole situation. There's things I forgot about, things that I didn't know about, things that I did know that I, are reiterating to myself. So it's very interesting that we're doing this. I'm loving doing this. And I'm very grateful that I'm here to be able to do this with these awesome people and all the rest of you amazing people out here as well. I very much appreciate all of you again. Again, thank you to Pennywise, Amanda, and Miss Essie. Thank you guys so much for your amazingness over here, and all of the Blue crew that was here tonight. I appreciate all of them as well. I don't even know if there's a couple still in here somewhere, but thank you guys all very much. We couldn't do this without you, and I appreciate all of this community. You guys are amazing. So God bless and good night, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming out. I hope enjoyed the show. Great discussion as always. The meeples, denizens, mods, great mods on both sides. You guys do a fantastic job. What I can say, we're basically following the theme of Lee would appreciate this. The devil is in the details. So that's kind of what we're doing. So again, I know, there's a lot of stuff with this. Every time, I'm doing research and looking up different things with this case. Every time I look something up, I find something new. So there's a lot of, and I'm sure that will continue to happen. There's just so much with this case, but hold on to your hats, hold on to your socks, because we will get into all the stuff. We don't want to race past everything, as Robin was saying. We want to kind of slowly digest, and we'll get to the main course. We will get there. But thanks to everyone. I make sure you hit the subscribe, the likes. I believe we will be on tomorrow, right? Regular time.
Yep.
Yeah.
6 Pacific with 9 p.m. Eastern. For those of you in the Northeast, be careful shoveling. I already saw it happens every time, but we actually got bombarded. We haven't had probably a snowstorm like this in quite a long time.
Years.
I don't know about I know Rob is in Pennsylvania, but
it's bad here.
I mean, I've had plenty of snowstorm, but not this was like we got over a foot already, and I already saw some of the news reports. We already had some people who have died having heart attacks. Be very careful shoveling. It's cold. Stay warm. And tomorrow, I guess we'll be back with Idaho 4. So
whatever it is. And one more time, if you don't mind, Robin, I want to thank my mods again, and I didn't call it out there, but my online business manager, Mikey, the last 24, he's been doing so much for me lately. I want to give him an extra thanks if I can. I really appreciate you, bud, and thank you so much for everything you're doing. So thank you very much to all of you again.
Yeah, and none of us could do this without our teams, and we couldn't do it with all of our amazing community members. We wouldn't have channels if it wasn't for you. And so please, if you have Nirvana fans in your life who you think would enjoy this content that we're putting out every Sunday, please, share the videos with them. We're going to discover, for even those who do know the case, like these gentlemen were saying, there's new stuff that has come out in the last even probably couple of years, maybe that hasn't been out there previously. So I think it's going to be really interesting. One of the things for me is hearing, like, when you guys do hear something that you didn't know before, that's gonna be interesting to me, you know, to see what, you know, you may or may not know or whatever. So, but we appreciate you guys so much. And like one said, we will be back tomorrow evening. DA will be back. He'll be on a high. So get ready, because God only knows what he'll come up with. He'll be in such a good mood. He'll be like,
I still think, Robin, that we should look into Princess Diana when we're done with Kurt Cobain.
oh yes,
sure.
That's another one. Oh my gosh, that is a fascinating case. Yep,
I'd love to.
Yeah,
I don't really.
We've got
I don't
plenty
really
to keep us
know.
busy.
I don't know a lot about that case. I know. I just know.
I remember
like,
when that happened.
I just know like brief
my
stuff,
gosh.
but I would love to look into that.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
So we have tons and tons of good cases that we can delve into, and that is a one I would really love to sink our teeth into.
100%. I agree. I totally
all right.
agree.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, very much. Thank you out there to everyone, and we will see you all tomorrow evening.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.